It's Monday, February 4th, Tuesday, February 5th, if you're on the East Coast or across the pond. And this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. Hope you had a great day and night. I am your host, Dave Scott, broadcasting to you live from the Great White North on top of the mountains of central British Columbia, right here at SOR headquarters. We welcome you nightly to tonight's show, including Deep Talk Radio and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, we have them free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot, shop at our Spaced Out Radio store, read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, and much more. Tonight's show is brought to you by the YouTube channel Ensuho. Sebastian Martin brings high-quality messages to the masses. Head to our website, click on the Ensuho banner, and subscribe today. Before we get started, we want to introduce a brand new radio affiliate down in the high desert of California. KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California has picked us up. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio family, Chuck and crew. Ridgecrest is near the home of China Lakes Naval Test Range, Mojave Spaceport, and Edwards Air Force Base. So we thank station owner Chuck Contreras for bringing us on KZFX. Tonight, we bring in one of my favorite guests on Spaced Out Radio, as military aviation historian Michael Schratt is back to talk about UFOs and UFO crash sites. Michael is a popular figure on the lecturing circuit due to his impeccable and studious knowledge of craft that could potentially be ours or from another life system. Tonight, we will be getting into a couple of top 10s with Michael regarding UFO craft and crashes, and whatever else we can fit in tonight. With everything going on in the world right now regarding the subject of UFOs, this topic of discussion couldn't come at a better time. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, we have Ola Phillips from Paranoia Magazine back for the SOR Newswire. Michael Schratt, always a pleasure to have you on Spaced Out Radio, my friend. How are you?
Dave, thanks for having me on the program. Really appreciate it.
I always appreciate you coming on. I get a little geeked up. I get a little worked up because, you know, ever since I was 3 years old, Michael, my dad took me to my first air show. And I lived in a town, I was born and raised in a town called Abbotsford, British Columbia, which at the time had the third largest air show in the world. And I remember seeing and getting scared at that age, but falling in love with the old F-101 Voodoos up here in Canada. They were called the CF-101 Voodoos. And ever since then, I have been addicted to military craft. So when we get you on the show talking about military aviation, UFOs, black projects, I get amped up for this one, my friend. Very amped up.
Dave, the same thing happened to me because living in northern Illinois, I was not too far from Oshkosh, where my dad would take me to the Oshkosh Air Show for like 25 years in a row. And so just as you were, I was definitely impressed with the aircraft there, P-51s, P-47s, all the jets they had there, F-15, F-16, F-14. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. How did you fall in love with it? Was it just a matter of looking up in the skies, watching these craft go by at, you know, outrageous speeds that just got you going? Was it the noise or the artistry of the aircraft on how they were designed?
All of the above, plus the fact that my dad used to take me to an old, decrepit, outside air museum display not too far from Chicago, where they had all these derelict, dilapidated, and forgotten left-for-dead aircraft from World War II just kind of like rotting outside. And it just had this ghostly attraction. These craft had like cracked, opaque windows. All the rivets were rusted. The seams were buckled. You could see it was aged, and it just had this ghostly attraction. I mean, that's what started for me, really.
Incredible, incredible. And as you went forward, you are a pilot as well. Am I correct?
That is correct, yes.
How long have you been flying now?
20 years. About 500 hours total time in a Diamond Katana DA-20A1, and also, Cessna 150, 152, Blanik L-13, Schweitzer 233. And so those are the aircraft I've flown.
Excellent. Absolutely excellent. And you know what? It's got to be a real bond that you have with aircraft and the technology behind it, Mike, that has led you to this path that you were on, which is being one of the premier researchers in regards to black projects, aircraft that we may not know about, hypersonic speed aircraft, what replaced the SR-71, so on and so forth. It's got to be exciting.
It is exciting. It's a crusade, but I guess I should state that right around 93, 94 timeframe, when a lot of this was really going on and a lot of these programs started heating up, there were about 12 people doing this kind of full-time. Now there's essentially only 2. So it's faded out. This is a part of ufology that isn't talked about, but absolutely does represent a significant portion of this phenomenon. Now, Bill Scott has to get credit for the research that he's done. He used to be the former Rocky Mountain editor of Aviation Week,
right.
Stealth Technology, Space Technology. And what he was doing is tracking down all these stories. And he'd been tracking the Black Star program, which what we can talk about a little bit later, for over 16 years. And the way he described it to me is that we were dealing with a 400-piece puzzle, but we only have 200 of the pieces. You know, we've got some eyewitnesses that have seen things, we've heard things, we've got defense contractor periodicals talking about this, but we just don't have the physical evidence. Now, I've interviewed 3 people who have personally seen the Black Star program. I'm convinced it's absolutely a real program, but to this day, they've not dislodged it.
So when you are looking for information, Michael, in this
right.
black ops type of world, how do you find it? What tips you off? Is it sources? Is it little tidbits that have been put out there in media stories or magazines?
In a way, yes. You got to get down in the trenches. You got to get boots on the ground, and going to university libraries, ASU, University of Arizona, going to microfilms, pulling out trade publications. That's where it starts. And from there, you start compiling lists of people who worked on the programs, like Lockheed Skunk Works engineers, people who worked on Northrop B-2 stealth bomber program. McDonnell Douglas had their own Skunk Works. It was called the Phantom Works. That was taken over by Boeing, General Dynamics, Martin Marietta. So that's how you start getting a cross-section, and then just start interviewing these personnel. And, obviously they're limited on what they can say, but they do let a few things go here and there, and then sometimes you can get a sketch from that point, and then the goal is to turn this into something more substantial to make these birds come alive, and that's really what my crusade is.
Michael, why is it important to you that the public learns about not only these black projects, but what could be a UFO and what could be
right.
ours?
Well, even Aviation Week Space Technology stated point blank, quote, that 8 years of the Reagan administration were very good to the black world. So even Aviation Week knows that there are multiple black aircraft out there that we have not seen, we have not been told about. It's debatable whether or not former members or current members of Congress, they have a need to know. There's no public scrutiny. Even Armed Services Committee and House and Armed Services Committee, even those people may not have a need to know, because we're talking about unacknowledged special access programs that are waived programs. They go right through Congress. The funding is black, and in 1994 timeframe, we were spending $100 million per day on black programs.
No kidding. No kidding.
Yep.
Do you believe that a lot of the technology that we do have is hidden in the United States, or do they have an island out there that somewhere, maybe, I'm thinking Diego Garcia or somewhere north in Alaska, where they are hiding these projects?
Diego Garcia is definitely a good guess. It's come up before. You're absolutely correct. However, there are a couple of places that they do have sub-assemblies taking place, like the old Pico Rivera plant. Sub-assemblies for the B-2 program were done at Pico Rivera, and then final assembly was Air Force Plant 42. So that really is ground zero for aerospace military industrial complex. If you want to know what's going on within the black world, you have to get in touch with Air Force Plant 42. It's not open to the public. You can drive around it. but Boeing has a facility. Northrop has a facility. Rockwell, when they were Rockwell, had a facility there. Lockheed has a facility there. So everyone is at that location. That's the heart of the military-industrial complex.
Interesting. Very interesting indeed. And how much of this is based off of UFO technology, do you believe?
That's difficult to pin down. I prefer to keep as grounded as possible and just go by good old-fashioned American ingenuity. That's what I like to follow. That's kind of the track that I go. Now, I'm not denying 100% that some of this could be perhaps off-world, but I can't pin that down. I can't trace it with any physical evidence, so I tend to stand more toward the literature end of it and then from what I'm getting from the engineers.
Interesting. Very interesting indeed. Now, obviously, we are broadcasting right now down in California in the high desert where Edwards Air Force Base is, and this is our first night on KZFX 93.7 FM down there. I'm curious, that area, for our new listeners that are down there, there's a lot of people who say there's a lot of strange happening in that area of the country, Michael, where they are potentially designing some of these types of programs. What do you know about that area?
Glad you asked that question, because if you really want to know what's going on within the black aerospace world, first of all, you really need to be positioned in Southern California. I'm up here in Northern California, so I'm at least sort of within striking range, but there's something called Aerospace Alley, and that is from San Diego all the way up to Mojave, California. So you start in San Diego, you've got like General Atomics, you keep on heading north, going on PCH, and you eventually get to Hawthorne, where they have the Northrop facility. Keep heading north, you used to have the Burbank facility, the Skunk Works, and then continuing on the 5 north, getting onto the 14, you head up toward Lancaster, Palmdale area. Now you're at the Air Force Plant 42 where Lockheed Skunk Works is. Northrop has a facility there. Keep going north. You've got Edwards Air Force Base, and then Mojave, California has Scale Composites. So all of these contractors are within that belt called Aerospace Alley, and that's where we want to focus in on tonight.
Interesting. Interesting. When it comes to UFOs and the technology behind them, you are a believer, and I'm going to assume here, so don't make an ass out of me kind of thing. You know how assume means an ass out of you and me. But in regards to UFO technology, how long in your studies do you think that we, as in the people of this planet, have been dealing with potential crash sites and potential technology that we have recovered or retrieved?
Good question. Well, if we're to believe the stories from the new U.S. Navy, it could be as early as 1941. Some of the alleged crash retrievals took place well before Roswell. And it's been told to me that if you want to know the truth about UFOs, forget Blue Book. It's the Navy that's running the program.
Really?
Yep, the Navy's running the program. So you can forget Blue Book. It's the Navy running the program. And this has come up time and time again. Now, again, all this stuff requires physical evidence to pin it down. So it's a difficult road to follow. And, you know, just to kick things off tonight, what I would like to start with here before we get into the main material is I've got 2 crossword puzzles, and I'm offering a $5,000 cash prize to any of your listeners. So $5,000 cash prize for anyone who can solve my Ben Rich Lockheed Skunk Works F-117A Stealth Fighter SR-71 crossword puzzle. So the deadline is the 10th of February, Sunday at 11:59 Pacific Standard Time. So you have just about a week to complete this. And there's 116 clues on this one. Obviously, we don't have time to go over all these clues, but I just want to hit you with like the first 10 just to give people an idea of what they're dealing with here. So, and this is open to you too as well. I want to open this up to every $5,000 cash prize. So we'll just do 10 really quickly here. So this is under the category of down. Okay, 51 down. Coincided with start of Desert Storm. Next one. Be quick, be quiet, be blank, blank. So anyone who knows about Skunk Works and should know what that means, right? Okay, next one. Ben worked on this bird but never flew. Last acknowledged bird Ben worked on. Quote, crown jewel of Ben's career. We're talking about Ben Rich. He was the head of Skunk Works between 1975 and 1991. Ben received this honor in 1981. F-117A known as this, blank, blank. SR-71 titanium bought here. People who follow the Blackbird, people who are in the Lancaster area should know this, should absolutely know this. Always on a blank morning. Next one, J58 makes these, and then last one, 61 down, CL400 would have been this. So, Dave, these are just kind of a brief overview of the clues within this puzzle.
Oh, I know our listeners are going to go absolutely haywire, and I will get that out on social media. I got people asking right now for it, and I will make sure that our people at Spaced Out Radio get an opportunity to do that. It'll be on our Facebook pages. It'll be on my SOR Dave Scott profile, the Spaced Out Radio profile, and we'll put it on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio as well. Not a problem. I appreciate you allowing our audience to come into that, Mike.
Oh, no problem. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, here's the next one. B-2 stealth bomber. Okay, so let's hit this one. We're only going to do 10 here. Down on the subheading of down, 55. Held first press conference on stealth. Next one. Confirm ATB was a flying wing. Next one, 57 down. Press nickname for B-2. 58. Missing from initial Air Force drawing of B-2. 59 down. Said B-2 was, quote, too highly classified. 60. Opposed release of info on B-2. 61. B-2 described as this, blank, blank. 62. Used to pitch the B-2 by using this blank. 63. Largest subcontractor on B-2 program. That's a relatively easy one. 64 down. Used to cut the cost of the B-2. And 65 down. B-2 was subjected to 24,000 hours of this, which is a real good one. So I really like that. So this is the B-2 stealth program crossword puzzle. $5,000 cash prize for anyone who can solve this puzzle first before the deadline.
Wow. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. That's exciting. Yes, I'm getting a lot of requests here for it, so I will get it out to you. Michael, last few times we've had you on, we really focused on black ops, black jets, and we're going to try and sneak that in later on in the program. But you wanted to really get into UFOs, the heart and meat of and you brought a couple of top 10 lists with you. We got about 5 minutes here before we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Sure. So why don't you get us started on why you did these top 10s?
Okay, good. Let me give you some quick background, and then we'll hit it right away. So Leonard Stringfield was the expert in crash retrievals. Back in '73, when he was researching this and gave a lecture at Ohio MUFON Symposium, it was kind of a new subject. Crash retrievals really wasn't a term that was used back then. So after his lecture that he gave on UFO crash retrievals, and this came from people who had firsthand knowledge of recovering debris, dealing with debris in a laboratory environment, and people who held or had firsthand accounts or experience dealing with bodies from these crashes. After this lecture, basically Leonard Stringfield stated that if you or anyone that you know has had firsthand experience dealing with UFO bodies, crashes, please contact me. And this is reported in his notes. And so he went on a 2-week vacation after the lecture with his wife, Dell. And when they got back, they checked at the post office, and they went into their post office box. They opened up the box, and Dave, there was nothing there. So he thought, wow, this is a bust. This went nowhere. I didn't get anything out of this. So he looked a little bit closer, and there was a small card within the mailing box there. He pulled out the card, flipped it over, and it said, "See Postmaster." So he brought up this card to the postmaster on the front desk, and this gentleman said, "Wait a few minutes, I'll be back." About 5 minutes later, 2 big guys with these huge mail packs and bags over their shoulders came over. There were over 1,000 letters that were sent to Leonard Stringfield regarding crash retrievals, bodies, debris recovered at crash sites. So about in the 2013 timeframe, a little bit earlier than that, the dictation notes from Leonard Stringfield were donated to MUFON. So I pitched them a concept that if I could get access to those original files, and write a concise and fully illustrated booklet that described these in detail and fully illustrated them, would I be able to get access to these files? So that request went on to the basically the managing editors at MUFON, governing body at MUFON, and got green-lighted on it and spent about 6 months compiling this booklet that came from 78 original 3-ring binder dictation notes from Leonard Stringfield. And that's what we want to talk about when we get back from break.
Do you get as excited about the UFO projects as you do in regards to the black projects that you like to study?
I do, because if these stories are true, we are dealing with an incredible account. I mean, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, no doubt about it. But it just doesn't appear that all these people are lying. It just doesn't appear. And the fact that there's so many configurations, there's so many details, there's so many weird-looking craft out there, it doesn't look like it's something Lockheed would build. I have to be honest with you. Anybody who knows Kelly Johnson and the Skunk Works, what they did back at the Skunk Works in 1943, that whole time frame when they were building the P-80 Shooting Star, Kelly Johnson kind of had a rule that he would always design aircraft that were pretty. They were aesthetically pleasing. If you look at some of the configurations, and hopefully we can get to this tonight, these configurations are just too weird for them to be a Lockheed Bird. A Northrop aircraft, McDonnell Douglas, Boeing, they don't conform to any known configuration that we know of aircraft today. So in that sense, if these crash retrieval stories are true, then we are dealing with the story of the century. Incredible indeed, my friend. Michael Schratt is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. He is a military aircraft historian. We are going to get into tonight a lot about UFOs. Michael has brought with him a couple of top 10s that he has that he is going to fill us in with UFOs. Sightings, crashes. Are they really all over the place? Are they really happening that much? I don't even know about this. But this is why we have the man on here in Michael Schratt. So I'm very excited to be able to get to that. We're going to hop out for our first break of the night. Top 10 UFOs, sightings, and crashes coming up with Michael Schratt.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Hi, George Norrie here. Are you ready for UFO MegaCon, the immersion event? 7 days, 8 nights, 50 new speakers, UFO military witnesses, experiencer groups, skywatches, and so much more. Join me at UFO MegaCon, March 24th through the 30th in Laughlin, Nevada. Truly the one and only new information conference of the year. Now check it out at UFOMegaCon.com. That's UFOMegaCon.com.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, live from SOR headquarters in the wild tundra of British Columbia, Canada. Michael Schratt is our guest tonight, and he is coming in to talk about his top 10 UFOs. And we're excited to have Michael, who is one of the world's premier researchers on military aviation history, black projects, and what could be hiding in the sky above. Michael, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you coming on in here. Let's get to your top 10, my friend, because I'm excited about this. Let's get to UFOs.
Let's hit it. So let's go right now. Okay, now I want to preface this that the source material for this information came from the Leonard Stringfield dictation notes. I didn't make this up on my own. That's the source of this information. Okay, so the first case that we have is a U.S. Marine who claims to have guarded a flying saucer at a point 3 hours by plane from Cherry Point, North Carolina. This is in December of 1963, literally a few weeks after the Kennedy assassination. Now, I don't know if there's a tie-in here, a connection. It could be. But he claims to have guarded a flying saucer at an undisclosed location, December of 1963. And just to give you some background, he was married with 4 children. When this event occurred, he was in his late 40s, so he could have been 48, 49, something like that. He's a corporal in the Marines from 1960 to 1966, and his MOS, or military occupational specialty, was in weapons technology. Okay, so we talked about he was flown from Cherry Point, North Carolina, 3 hours in a plane that had no windows. And to this day, Dave, we still don't know where this took place. He would not reveal the location. So it could have been a U.S. Air Force hangar. It could have been a U.S. Navy facility. We don't know, other than the fact that it was 3 hours by plane from Cherry Point, North Carolina. So if you do the numbers, it technically could have been, west area, Nevada, perhaps maybe even eastern California area. I don't know. It's a stretch. But, Area 51 could have been a possibility, but I don't think it was at the test site. It leads me to believe that this is somewhere other than Area 51. So it possibly could have been within range there. Okay, so when he arrived, he was told to guard this flying saucer that was 40 feet in diameter. It was 15 feet thick at the center, and he was there for a period of 2 weeks, and there were 2 other guards on duty as well. He was granted an interim top secret security clearance. That's how he got access to this. And he described the craft as being seamless. It had a polished aluminum exterior surface. The entire craft was propped up 5 feet in the air off the floor of this hangar facility using these wooden planks. And what they had done, Dave, is they had built an entire group of scaffolding, aircraft scaffolding, around this craft so that these technicians could get a bird's eye view of the exterior of it. You could walk around this catwalk that they had created. Now, on the bottom section of the craft, there was a very, very tightly done seams that created this small opening or hatch-like section of the craft. Now, according to the Marine, and I do have his name, but in respect to Leonard Stringfield, who'd never revealed the names of his sources, I'll stand by with releasing this guy's name. But he said, quote, that the seams on this lower hatch portion were so tight you could not fit a razor blade in between. Same thing we heard about the main blocks of the Giza Plateau. You could not fit a razor blade between those as well. This is exactly what this gentleman is describing, completely integrated. Now, around the outer circumference of this craft, there were these elliptically shaped, smoky, opaque windows. You could not see through them. They were smoky in color, and there was a 1-inch lip between the outer exterior surface of the vehicle itself and then the outer exterior surface of these windows, a small 1-inch lip he described. No landing gear, no fins, no exhaust ports, no visible means of propulsion. He did witness a technical crew wearing these white lab coats trying to gain access to the interior of the craft, and they had colored badges as well. The facility itself had colored coded areas. And so, for example, if you had a red badge, you were allowed total access to the craft. That's how these things worked. Now, here's how they started this. They started trying to breach the hull of this craft, Dave, by using diamond-tipped drill bits. That didn't work. Then they tried cutting torches. So they would, light up these oxygen-acetylene torches, and they would put it right onto the exterior surface of the craft. And he noticed that it did get hot to the touch. He was told that it did get hot to the touch, but when they moved the torch away, it made no effect whatsoever on the material. So I'm thinking,
incredible.
Wouldn't this be interesting to the Pentagon and aerospace defense contractors in designing an aircraft that featured this material as the aircraft skin? They'd love to have something like that. So this is coming directly from the Marine. Now, the last thing they did is they used a high-powered laser. And remember, this is 1963, so we're not talking about lasers today. We're talking about 63 era. This thing was powered by 2 very large 18-wheeler tractor-trailer trucks with these huge generators on board. And there was these 2 thick electrical cables that went through this hangar door right to where this craft was being stored. And so they tried this as well. They put lasers on this thing. And since it had a curved surface, since the entire craft looked like a hamburger with these curved surfaces, the laser bounced off the curved surface of the craft and then damaged the ceiling panels and the rafter area. So this actually took place. It actually bounced off, reflected, and hit the ceiling rafter and did some damage there. They also had a white circle that was taped to the floor, and you were not allowed to breach that circle. He was told to shoot anyone who tried to breach that circle. No questions asked. Air Force generals were prohibited from breaching the circle. And then there was a Secretary of the Navy who was within seconds, Dave, of being shot dead by this Marine. He came within seconds. Yep, he was a Secretary of the Navy, and so this took place in December 1963. So I did some checking, and I found the Secretary of the Navy November 2nd of 1963 to November 28th, 1963, was a man by the name of Paul H. Mintz. He died in 2004. So this could have been the gentleman who saw that craft there, who tried to gain access to it. Now, I don't know for sure, but according to this Marine, this is the person who tried to breach this circle. Now, the last day that he was there, he saw the craft being loaded on an 18-wheeler flatbed truck, and they were putting tarps over the top of it with chains. Okay, and then he was told that, quote, you saw nothing. That was the mandate that they were following here. So it looks like what they do is none of these craft remain at one location for any length of time. They move these from place to place for security reasons so that you can't track where these things are going. That appears to be what's going on here. Now, while he was guarding this particular craft, he overheard via secondhand a few other crash retrieval cases that he was aware of as well. One involved at least 3 bodies that were pulled from the craft. They were 39 inches tall, and they had no thumbs. And he said, quote, we've got quite a few bodies in craft now.
No kidding.
And then during the time that he was there, he heard 2 civilian scientists talking about, quote-unquote, aliens in coded jargon, and put 2 and 2 together, and that's when it dawned on him that he was dealing with perhaps an ET craft. Why would Air Force, Navy, why would they be trying to breach the hull of something that they built themselves? Obviously, this is a reverse engineering program here. That's what we're dealing with. And then he later found out that the craft that he guarded was stored at an underground base in the western states known by its grid coordinates. So that's why I think it's not Area 51. I'm thinking more of GPS coordinates or Latin long coordinates. That's what I'm thinking about. So I think Area 51 is not the base that they moved this to. The base that this is at, according to this Marine, it features these sliding panels with vegetation on top, which camouflage the entrance to the facility. Now, when you open up these doors, what they reveal, Dave, is these helipads that lower into the ground just like aircraft carrier elevators. And this is something we've heard again and again and again, where they have these underground facilities that have a textured exterior just like the surrounding landscape, and then you can go down into the facility. We've heard about this many times. Now, upon release, this Marine was told that he had to sign a 10-10 agreement, which is 10 years in prison or 10-year fine if you talked about what you saw. And just to get into some of the morality here, this is what this particular Marine had stated. He felt, bottom line, this Marine stated that he didn't feel the world would freak out if the government disclosed the truth about UFOs. This is coming from the gentleman who actually guarded this thing. So in his mind, it's a done deal. He didn't feel, people would freak out about this. But he also stated, and this is what I felt was interesting, he also stated that if they did display these craft, the bodies, the vehicles, the debris, maybe the autopsy reports, I'm talking about the actual physical evidence that we need to move this case forward. This entire field needs this physical evidence. If they were actually putting these things on display, there'd still be some people who would rather stay home and watch football. That's what this guy stated. I think it's timely because we just had the Super Bowl yesterday. So
yes,
what that means is we have been cleared for disclosure. We have been green lighted for disclosure by the gentleman who guarded this thing himself. So I'm putting out a notice to the NSA, to the CIA, to the NRO. Gentlemen, you're green lighted. It's a go. It's a go. Now, this tried to take place during the Bush administration under something called Cosmic Journey, where they were going to go from town to town and display these things, the bodies, the craft, the debris. It never happened, though. So let's roll on this. Let's get it going. Now, efforts to breach the hull of the craft, the reverse engineering propulsion system, what he said is the lessons learned, he was told they didn't learn much. And what that means is maybe they never did get inside. I don't know for sure. I don't even know if he knew, but it appears that they never even breached the hull of this craft and tried to reverse engineer the propulsion system. Maybe they never even got that far. Now, here's the interesting point here. There was one time where the two guards that were with him were not in the same facility at the same time. He was there alone. And so he was able to pull out his small Minox camera, Dave, and he actually took a photograph of this craft that was propped up on the floor. Now, unfortunately, this photograph was lost in a flood years later. His wife and children, yep, we were that close, Dave. We were that close to getting the evidence that we need, that physical evidence, bombshell evidence that we know they have, that we could move this forward. His wife and children vouched for the photograph, no doubt about it. So the photograph is gone. However, I was able to secure the next best thing. I got copies of the original sketches by the Marine of the craft that he actually saw. And I converted that into a series of AutoCAD drawings and full-color 3D illustrations that I have put into a book format. And this is not a plug. I don't get anything for this. This was an agreement with MUFON. I don't make a penny, and that's okay. I do it as a crusade. I do it free of charge. So for anyone who might be interested in further information on the other cases that we'll talk about tonight, it's in a book format. The name of the book is called Retrievals of the Third Kind, Cosmic Crashes, Corpses, and Cover-Ups, where I go into 119 of these cases fully illustrated. So that's case number 1.
Wow. We got about 6 minutes here. Let's start case number 2, my friend.
Okay, no problem. Case number 2. This is also from the Leonard Stringfield notes, and this regards Gordon Cooper, astronaut Gordon Cooper, who was the most outspoken astronaut that talked about UFOs. He gave an interview on the Merv Griffin show. This is March 27, 1978. And he made a series of shocking comments that rattled the audience. And just going to go through here really quickly of what was actually said. Now, this is Merv Griffin speaking here. And he's talking to Gordon Cooper. Quote, "There is a story going around, Gordon, that a spaceship did land in Middle America, and there were occupants, and members of our government were able to keep one of the occupants alive for a period of time. They've seen the metal of the aircraft, and they know what the people look like. Is that a credible story?" And here's Gordon. He answers, quote, "I think it's fairly credible. I would like to see the time when all qualified people not trying to make a dollar selling some weird stories could really work together to properly investigate these stories and either refute or prove them." Then Merv came back and asked another question. "Do you believe that UFOs are coming to Earth or have come to Earth in the past?" Cooper replied, "I believe they have and are on a regular basis." Now here's the point here. He was assigned to a fighter group in West Germany in 1951. And Gordon remembered the week where an entire fleet of these dish-shaped crafts passed over his base. Now this happened on a daily basis. The first sighting was by a weatherman who noticed some of these strange craft flying at a high altitude. Later, the entire fighter group saw them as well. And then Gordon Cooper went on to describe these things. Now, this is Gordon Cooper, quote, "Unlike fighters, they would stop in their forward velocity and change 90 degrees, sometimes in the middle of their flight path." Here again, Dave, this is what we've heard. Remember, we've heard these reports of UFOs stopping on a dime, making these 90-degree right-angle turns, backing up. That's exactly what Gordon Cooper is talking about here. So he and his fellow pilots flying these F-86 Sabre jets and F-84s, they tried to intercept these. This is 1951 West Germany, but they were way too fast, way too high for Gordon to intercept these. And then he concluded here, "We never could get close enough to pin them down, but they were round in shape and very metallic looking," according to Gordon Cooper.
You know, talk about feeling primitive, Michael. Flying an F-86 Sabre against a UFO.
That's right.
I mean, that's like bringing an elastic band to a gunfight.
It was not a chance. There's no way they could intercept it. But, you know, we have to think, do we trust the credibility of one of our original Mercury astronauts? Can we trust what he said? I think we can.
I think so, too.
I think we can. You know, it's a done deal. The only question is it ours or is it theirs? Because the original research on gravity was done in 1954 timeframe. This is 1951. So is it perhaps conceivable that they had a breakthrough in the very early 1950s, maybe 51? We're pushing the envelope, but the reference works clearly indicates that they were working on ways to crack the gravity barrier early on. So it's possible this could have been one of ours, or it could have been something else. Difficult to say, but at least we got the testimony from Gordon Cooper, and I trust his testimony.
And it's not just that, as we got about 2 minutes here, it's not just Gordon Cooper. I mean, Edgar Mitchell has been, you know, throughout his post-astronautical life until the day he passed, he was very, very big on the ET presence and ET phenomenon as well. I mean, other astronauts have also come out about this, yet their stories, I mean, these are gentlemen and women who have been to space, and their stories are largely ignored or put on there like, oh, well, it's just old Edgar acting up again.
Well, coming from our astronauts, I don't think there is a higher caliber of witness that we can get. These are just the best of the best. The best of the best. So we have to trust their word. We either do or we don't. But coming from them, I think it just lends a serious amount of credibility to their case. No doubt about it.
I would agree with you, too. And it's amazing, though, that the mainstream media hasn't really jumped on that fact when you have astronauts who are speaking at UFO conferences talking about this phenomenon. I mean, it's right there in the open, and nobody wants to grab it.
I know there's some in the media that don't have a curious bone in their body, and even if this thing came up and bit them, they still wouldn't notice it at all. So, it just goes to show you that when you talk about black aircraft, when you talk about UFOs, bodies, craft retrievals, this only is receptive to a certain cross-section of society. Other people, they could care less. You just can't force people to latch onto this. It either resonates with them or it doesn't. There is no in-between ground here.
Isn't that true? And you have to wonder how much of that is actually brought on by fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of the old 80s television documentary V, where the reptilians come down. I mean, there's a lot to it. A lot to it. Mike, we're going to continue with you and your top 10 right after this. We are going to head off to our break at the top of the hour. Michael Schratt is our guest tonight, one of the world's premier researchers into black projects, the UFO phenomenon, UFO crashes. Michael is a military aviation historian. You're going to want to get this. You're going to want to check it out. We also want to give a big shout out to the first-time listeners checking us out on KZFX down in Ridgecrest, California. Appreciate you guys tuning in and being a part of us on 93.7 FM there, along with WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia as well. We love our affiliates around here. We absolutely love our affiliates, and we are growing daily. Spaced Out Radio continues with Michael Schratt. Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today. The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
Hi, George Norrie here. Are you ready for UFO MegaCon, the immersion event? 7 days, 8 nights, 50 new speakers, UFO military witnesses, experiencer groups, skywatches, and so much more. Join me at UFO MegaCon, March 24th through the 30th in Laughlin, Nevada. Truly the one and only new information conference of the year. Now check it out at UFOMegaCon.com. That's UFOMegaCon.com.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for being with us. Tomorrow night on the show, Geraldine Orozco is back with The Spiritual You. We get going at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. We welcome back everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates. Thank you so much for being with us, including our brand new affiliate as of tonight, KZFX. I got to get used to saying Z, because up here in Canada we say Z. KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California, in the high desert, Revolution Radio, Deep Talk Radio Network. And don't forget, you can check out all of our YouTube channel archives for free. Go to youtube.com/spaced out radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Ernianch is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night, right here on the mighty SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot, go shopping right now at our Spaced Out Radio store. Just click on the shop tab. You can pick up a t-shirt, a hoodie, a hat, whatever you want. It's there. And, of course, read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire and so much more. Tonight, we introduce Michael Schratt. He is a military aviation historian. We're talking UFOs tonight. He's talking about the top 10 UFOs reports that are out there right now. Michael, welcome back.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Appreciate it.
So we're on number 3 now, I believe.
Yep, we're moving on to the next one now. This also involves Gordon Cooper. This is 1957, Edwards Air Force Base. He was the project manager there, and he assigned a group of photographers to a remote portion of the base for the purpose of installing precision landing instrumentation. And they were equipped with motion picture cameras and to record these precision landings. And just want to hit you with 2 quotes from Gordon Cooper here. Now, this is at Edwards Air Force Base, 1957. Quote, while the crew was out there, they spotted a strange-looking craft above the lake bed and began taking films of it. Then he went on to say that it hovered above the ground, and then it slowly came down and sat on the lake bed for a few minutes. Gordon Cooper speaking here. Throughout the entire incident, the movie cameras were running. So they got this whole thing on film. The whole thing was captured on film. It was about the size of a normal-sized vehicle, maybe 30 feet in diameter. It had a shiny silver exterior color, and before it landed on the dry lake bed, it extended these 3 landing gear legs and then touched down on the dry lake bed. The camera crew was about within 20 yards of the craft before it departed. Cooper did not physically see the craft itself, but when the film was developed, he ran it through a projector about 12 times. And then I just want to do one other quote here. Gordon Cooper speaking here. It was a typical UFO shape. Not too many people saw it because it took off at quite a sharp angle and just climbed straight up out of sight. And then basically after he saw this, there was an Air Force courier that was sent to Edwards Air Force Base, and it was basically handcuffed to his wrist and a briefcase and then flown, we believe, to Andrews Air Force Base. And Dave, it was never seen again. So this is something we've heard time and time again, where the Air Force comes in here, they confiscate the film, it's sent back to somewhere, we don't know where. Could be Bowling Air Force Base, Andrews Air Force Base. It could be the 5th floor of the Pentagon's D-Ring, where they have the low observable office, where a lot of the stealth aircraft technology and blueprints and drawings were held. There's got to be warehouses, Dave, full of this stuff. Gun camera footage, 8x10 black and white glossies, different drawings, technical engineering drawings, all the evidence that ufology would need, the physical evidence to move this field forward, is being kept, absolutely, from researchers, from the general public, from the scientific community, and they won't release it. So there's got to be warehouses full of this stuff.
Michael, there has to have been thousands of people who have worked on these projects over the decades. Yeah. How come all of them have been silent?
I don't think they all have been, although a lot of them know that they perhaps signed a 10-10 agreement, and they know that there's serious consequences for breaking security clearances, more than just jail terms. If we're to believe how deep these programs go, you could be dealing with something very detrimental to your health when you deal with talking about these programs. And they just don't want to do it. Part of it is that a lot of these people, they're compartmentalized. They don't know the full story. They're only building landing gear, or they're only working on an internal spike. They don't know the full picture of what this thing actually is. And so that's how they're able to keep these secrets.
Wow, it just amazes me. Even the deathbed confessions or something along those lines. Are they worried that maybe their family will be affected by this? So let's say I'm a contractor working on one of these projects and I've signed this 10-10 agreement. Am I worried that, if I pass away and I say give a deathbed confession or write something down that my family is to release, that they're going to pay the price for that, maybe through the IRS or some sort of other means?
I think it could be, but the other thing too is the way this game is played. This is the way it was described to me, Dave. This is how they play this game. They don't care what you know, they care what you can prove. So you're free to talk about anything you want to. You can talk about aliens, UFOs, propulsion systems, dead bodies, alien autopsies, whatever you want to talk about. But until you get physical evidence, you're not on the radar screen. But the second you get that physical evidence, now you're on the radar screen. That's the point to be concerned. So that's how this game is played. And that's why we've never been able to move this whole field forward. Even Gordon Cooper knew that the only way, in his words, the only way this could be moved forward, if somehow the technology associated with these craft is trickled down to the scientific community as a united coalition, and then it's released in that manner. Anything less than that, it's not going to happen. So that was the way that Gordon Cooper thought that disclosure could happen, is if it was done through the scientific community as a united coalition. That's what we're looking for. That's what we're looking for.
I want to ask you one more question before we move on to the top 10 here, Michael. What about Bob Lazar, though? I believe you're a believer that he did work at Area 51 at S4. I'm a believer that he did. In regards to him, I thought we'd really see some sort of Pandora's box open up where a lot more people who were maybe former employees there or even current employees would have come out over the last 30 years to confirm his story or to tell another avenue from it. Are you surprised by that?
Well, I'm very skeptical about the Bob Lazar story, and let me just give you one reason why. Basically, in his original interviews, 89-90 time period, with the Billy Goodman happening, some of his original audio interviews, he stated that the craft, he had to reach over his head to touch the outer rim of the craft. It's very important that we keep this in mind, kind of get a picture in your mind. So he had to lift his hand over his head to touch the outer rim of the craft, okay? Now, exactly, Dave, exactly at that outer lip or rim of the craft is where the integrated entry hatch is to the sport model, okay? And then he said that the quote-unquote aliens that were associated with this craft were between 3.5 to 4 feet tall. That would mean by default that the entry hatch was at least 3 to 4 feet above their heads. How did they get into that hatch? It was never talked about. how would they get into that entry hatch? If it was at least 4 feet over their heads. It was never even talked about. Wouldn't you think that they'd put the hatch at the bottom of the craft so that they could have easy entry inside? No, it was at the tip or the outer lip that was way over their heads. So that means that they levitated in there? And if that's true, why would you need a craft in the first place if you can levitate? So that point to me is suspect, very suspect.
Interesting. I never knew that. All right, let's move on to number 4.
Okay, let's move on. Okay, now this next case is a legend within ufology. It has absolutely reached this legendary status. I have to preface it that this case has not been confirmed 100%, not even near 100%. So it could be just a story or it could be the real thing, but it has absolutely reached legendary status. I'm talking about none other than the famous Jackie Gleason UFO encounter. Now, this took place Homestead Air Force Base. This was basically February 19th, 1973. And basically Leonard Stringfield, he received a letter from an airman that was based at Homestead Air Force Base who claims to have seen a craft in one of the hangars around January 1979. So this is a few years after the 73 encounter, but this is one corroborating piece of evidence that might add to the case. Okay, so basically Jackie Gleason and Richard Nixon were at this charity golf outing. The date was February 19th, 1973. Dave, this portion of the story is ironclad. We know this to be true. It actually did take place. So this part of the story, it's a done deal. Now, somewhere around the 9th hole, the subject of UFOs came up, as it sometimes does. And we know that Jackie Gleason was a huge paranormal UFO buff. He has a huge collection of books at the University of Miami. He built an $800,000 specially designed house in Peekskill, New York, that he called the Round House in the shape of a flying saucer. So Jackie Gleason, no doubt, all his family members knew that he had a huge interest in UFOs. So later that evening, President Nixon basically shows up at Gleason's house alone with no Secret Service escort. So he's driving his own car, shows up alone at Gleason's house. They drive to a remote building on the far end of Homestead Air Force Base, and under this escorted military guard, Gleason was treated to kind of a tour of a secret repository, and he was shown debris from what he believed was a crash retrieval in these storage bins. This was from a crash retrieval that was being kept inside this facility. And he also recalled seeing what he said was 6 glass-top Coke freezers. That's the terminology he used. Glass-top Coke freezers with small childlike beings inside, which measured approximately 2 feet tall. A few of these other freezers contained the mangled remains of figures that looked much older. They looked like they had been involved in some type of a crash, according to Jackie Gleason. After arriving home around 11:30 p.m. and being visibly shaken, he basically threw himself on an armchair, Dave, and he was never the same man again. And these details were basically discussed by his ex-wife, Beverly McKittrick, and this was going to be produced in a new book called The Great One, which was never published. And so, Dave, this is a brief overview of the Jackie Gleason encounter.
It scared him that much?
Yes, he was never the same man again, yes. Now, we have never been able to confirm this. However, Clark McClellan, somewhere around, I think it was 84 time frame, 83 time frame, he actually interviewed Jackie Gleason in his car, and they talked about this, and later Clark McClellan discussed this encounter with Jackie Gleason. And when you read the transcripts from the encounter, it sounds legit. It really does. It's not much to go on. It's not physical proof. It's not bombshell evidence, but when you put this together with other cases, now I've got other cases at MacDill Air Force Base, not all that far from Homestead Air Force Base, where there was a large repository of photographs, drawings, motion picture film reels of flying saucers at MacDill Air Force Base. So it's not too much of a stretch for there to be another facility in Florida that has similar material. So there could have been more substantiating evidence through MacDill Air Force Base to lead or lend credence to the Homestead Air Force Base encounter.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. And is there anybody alive that you have been able to find, or rumors of hearing people alive who may have witnessed Jackie Gleason having this sighting at the Air Force Base?
I have not. I have not run into anyone who, saw him there. I have not. This is very hard to pin down. This is one of those cases that's a legendary case. To my knowledge, no one has been able to completely prove that this actually took place. But again, this isn't the only one. All roads lead to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. They start somewhere, but they end up at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. So maybe this craft, the bodies ended up there as well. Difficult to say, but if you go through these cases, they just always seem to end up at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. They have this origin point, but then they all lead back there. So let's move on to the next one here. This is also part of the Leonard Stringfield collection. Now, this involves the USS FDR aircraft carrier. This is late 1958, Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. It has the designation here, CVA-42. That is the designation for the USS FDR. And keep in mind that this was the first aircraft carrier to carry nuclear weapons on board, and this wasn't the only time they had some kind of a UFO encounter associated with this particular aircraft carrier. This took place during a shakedown cruise. The primary eyewitness was a man by the name of Chester Krasinski. This is a very well-known, well-reported case. He was assigned to the FDR in July of 1958, and he worked in the repair detail. Now, somewhere around 9 p.m., there was a significant commotion that began to spread below decks, and all these naval personnel began rushing up the ladder. They're trying to get up to the flight deck. Something was going on at the flight deck. Now, once they were topside, at least 25 naval personnel reported a small light which appeared to be following the ship and approached the carrier at an incredible rate of speed. Now, when it got closer, this thing made no sign whatsoever and maneuvered unlike any known aircraft at the time. The craft descended within 100 feet of the flight deck, all within visible range of the naval officers on the flight deck. And what they saw, David, was basically a 150 to 200-foot long cigar-shaped craft. Now, this thing was emanating this heat resonance that the people on the flight deck could feel on their faces. So that brings it to a CE2 case. This is a close encounter of the second kind. Now, running along the length of the cigar-shaped craft, there were these rectangular-shaped windows with beings looking down at the men on the flight deck. And according to Chester Krasinski, one of these beings was leaning forward on this glass and had his hand above his head, waving back at the naval officers back on the flight deck below, which I think is just incredible. We've got some of his original sketches here. Again, this is a CE2 case. Now, as this thing departed, it turned a red-orange color and departed at a high rate of speed and made no sonic boom at all. The entire setting, it lasted between 2 and 5 minutes. Very well known case that involved the USS FDR. So this is another case that was very important to cover in this particular discussion.
Incredible. Incredible. Our guest tonight, Michael Schratt, military avian historian, with us tonight. Michael, in regards to this latest one where they are actually seeing beings, I mean, even the most trained military personnel would have to be a little jaded after seeing something like that.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Now, this is possible. There is a possibility that this could have been a USO case, an unidentified submerged object case, because it certainly appears that 51% of all UFO cases are, in point of fact, USO cases. They're always associated with maybe some of these craft coming out of the oceans, lakes, reservoirs, rivers. There's always this USO connection. And in the 67 Condon report, they completely eliminated all USO cases. So they have left out essentially 51% of the entire UFO phenomenon. They didn't even talk about it. Unbelievable.
We got about 3 minutes here before we're going to take the break at the bottom of the hour. But let's start, I believe, number 6 or number 5.
Yeah, we're on the next one here. Now, this involves an alleged underground facility at Fort Hood, Texas. That's in the central Texas region, 160,000 acres. We're talking about a huge facility here. The reference for this is researcher Tommy Blon, who discussed this with Leonard Stringfield March 3rd, 1982, talking about a huge, massive underground facility at a location within Fort Hood called Gray Army Airfield. That's embedded within Fort Hood. Now, according to this primary eyewitness here, there's a camouflage section of land that opens up like sliding doors revealing the entrance. And this was an Air Force captain who was stationed at Fort Hood in 1972, told Blonde this in a 1960 interview, talking about a private pilot who had to make an emergency landing on a dusty field within the restricted corridor of Gray Army Airfield. When this pilot landed, he was approached by 2 MPs who had machine guns. They approached his plane. Now, before they got to him, what he saw, and I kind of talked about it before here, he saw these large bay doors opening like giant sliding doors, and they had vegetation covering the top of these doors, revealing a huge corridor. So this is something we've heard again and again and again, where you have these underground facilities or these facilities that are built into the side of a mountain with a textured exterior blending with the outline in the exterior area, making them essentially invisible. We've heard this again and again. He's met at gunpoint by the MPs. He's then blindfolded, taken in the Jeep to what he thought was this underground facility. He's taken down this large corridor into a room where his blindfold is removed, and he's interrogated for about 2 hours by these spooks, I guess you could say. He's blindfolded again, taken to his plane, and was warned never to speak of the incident, and they watched him fly away. That's essentially the Fort Hood encounter here. But what I want to point out is it's not all that far from Huffman, Texas, the Cash Landrum incident, which involved 23 double-rotor Chinook CH-47 helicopters, 1 gunship, and a Sikorsky Sky Crane. And this isn't the only time. So this happened December 29th, 1980, the Cash Landrum incident. Another incident happened prior to that, November 21st, 1973, that we can talk about after the break, that also involved UFOs and helicopters as well.
And we will get to that. Michael Schratt is our guest tonight, military aviation historian, one of the best speakers around on the topic of UFOs and black projects. We'll be back with more Michael Schratt right after this.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Hi, George Norrie here. Are you ready for UFO MegaCon, the immersion event? 7 days, 8 nights, 50 new speakers, UFO military witnesses, experiencer groups, skywatches, and so much more. Join me at UFO MegaCon, March 24th through the 30th in Laughlin, Nevada. Truly the one and only new information conference of the year. Now check it out at UFOMegaCon.com. That's UFOMegaCon.com.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
We've passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you so much, all of you, each and every one of you, for tuning us in. My name is Dave Scott, broadcasting from the Great White North and SOR headquarters. Our guest tonight, Michael Schratt. He is a military aviation historian. He is a lecturer. He is a major, major player in the research of black projects, UFOs, crash retrievals, and we're lucky to have him tonight on the show. Michael, welcome back.
Thank you, Dave. And the next case that I want to consider here involves 2 UFOs that were seen November 21st, 1973, near the Brazos River area. And these craft were described by the primary eyewitnesses as being kind of looking like a brick with worn edges on the side, kind of a strange configuration. It has a series of multicolored lights on its surface, metallic-looking structure, and it had an intense silver, blue, white glowing portion surrounding the craft itself. The UFOs were coming out of the northwest, and the primary eyewitnesses heard these helicopters also coming from the northwest. And as they got closer, they identified these as the double-rotor CH-43 Chinook helicopters that were kind of flying in a straight formation. The helicopters took up positions around and above these 2 UFOs, and then later 2 jet fighter interceptors circled above both the helicopters and the UFOs themselves. So this is at least the second time now that we've got these UFOs and these helicopters either escorting them or being there as a protective guarding them as well. So there seems to be this connection with helicopters, UFOs, that could be stemming from Gray Army Airfield, Dave.
Oh, wow. Why the Chinook helicopters? This is becoming prevalent in these stories.
Well, when it comes to the Cash Landrum incident, there were definitely 23 of those. There was a gunship and then a Sikorsky Skyscrane. So maybe they were being used to perhaps retrieve this craft with the Skycrane, not sure. But they would be heavy lift helicopters, or at least enough to carry multiple armed personnel that could secure an area. Maybe that's one reason why they use so much of it. I'm not sure 100%, but they definitely did see Chinook helicopters in the 80 case and in the 73 case that we just considered. So there's this connection between UFOs and helicopters either escorting these things or being associated in a test flight in some manner.
Wow. I'm a little stunned here in regards to the fact that this is almost like the Army is prepared for these kinds of actions.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if it's a test flight of something called the WASP program that was under the NEPA program, Nuclear Energy for Propulsion of Aircraft. By 1960, the Atomic Energy Commission, the U.S. Navy, and the U.S. Air Force spent $990 million on the NEPA program to figure out the feasibility of designing and building atomic-powered aircraft, atomic-powered spacecraft. So we have to think they got something for their money. And this Cache Landrum incident could have been there could have been a breach within the hull, and it started spewing out this nuclear material, and that's why the primary eyewitnesses, Betty Cache, Vicky Landrum, and Colby Landrum, all suffered from the effects of acute radiation poisoning. So this is definitely, it's looking like we're dealing with a black program that kind of went astray and then had a hull breach in the nuclear reactor. That's what it looks like here. And they were bringing in this gunship to secure the area. They brought in a sky crane to, if this thing fell, if it malfunctioned, if it crashed, they would retrieve it and get it out of there immediately. So they had forewarning knowledge that this thing was malfunctioning in some way. It looks like they had some kind of foreknowledge.
Almost like they were told to be there at that exact place. Incredible. Incredible.
Yeah, at the very least, they have teams ready. Yep. Mm-hmm.
We should move on, Michael, to the number 7.
Next one. Okay. Another case here. 1963, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. A captain in the Navy, he was also a pilot for Braniff Airlines, claims that he saw, this is kind of a short case, he claims that he saw 2 flying saucers in a hangar at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in 1963. He was on special assignment there when he saw the 2 craft. One was in plain view and was propped up on a pedestal. So here again, we're hearing these craft being propped up on these wooden beams or pedestals so that engineers can get a bird's eye view around the outer circumference, at least 2 separate cases now. This craft was 30 feet in diameter, had no rivets, that were visible on the exterior. This appeared to be a 2-man craft. The other craft looked like it could accommodate 12 people, but he didn't give any dimensions for the second craft, so we don't know exactly how big that second craft was. Later on, he was called by the authorities at the base. He was questioned, and his answer to the questioning was, quote, "I didn't see anything." So already he kind of had this Air Force jargon down. He knew what to say. He knew how to reply to these guys. I didn't see anything. So he already knew what the protocol was, their modus of operandi. He got it down. So that's the appropriate response. If you're asked about something, you just say, "I didn't see anything." And apparently he was let go. So this is just another case in 63. All roads appear to lead back to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
We once had a guest on this show from Ohio who's a retired firefighter. He had a bunch of ET activity around his home, and he was telling us on the show that he has buddies who are firefighters at Wright-Pat, and there are certain buildings at Wright-Pat that the fire team has been told, if this one burns, do not go in, let it burn to the ground. And that's all they're told. There are certain buildings there. Very interesting indeed, because they do not want people getting in there. And who knows how deep those facilities go.
Okay. Well, there could be any number of reasons for that. One could be some type of a UFO craft. Another one could be a low observable stealth craft that has RAM on it. And not to get off the subject, but when the B-2s were getting over to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Whiteman Air Force Base, Missouri, early in the program, when they were sending the B-2s over there, I've got a case from Jim Goodall, who's a good friend of mine. He's also a black aircraft researcher. He told me that when they sent that thing over there, and they closed the hangar doors at the B-2 facility there, the next morning, when they went in the hangar, every living thing was dead on the ground. All the little insects, all the little spiders were dead on the ground because the toxicity of the radar-absorbent material was so severe, it killed everything in the hangar. So if something was in what you were talking about and the fire personnel were told to stand down, that makes sense, because if you start burning these toxic resins and solvents, you produce this acrid smoke that you could die from if you inhale it.
Incredible. I never knew that.
Yep.
Thank you
that's
for sharing
exactly
that.
what happened. That's exactly what happened at Burbank at the Skunk Works during the stealth program early on, let's say like 81, 82 time frame. There were at least 2 times per week, there was an 18-wheeler tractor trailer that loaded up these 55-gallon drums that were full of this toxic resin material, chemicals, two-part epoxies, radar-absorbent materials. They drove from Burbank all the way to Area 51, where they had these large trenches that were dug right along the section where the residential area is. And so they offloaded these 55-gallon drums into these long trenches. Then they poured diesel fuel all over these 55-gallon drums. And then one of the security guards that came forward, he was told to light a torch, throw that torch into these trenches, and the entire thing went up in flames. And these drums exploded, and they spewed this black acrid smoke over the residential areas. And that's where the lawsuits from the Area 51 workers started coming in, because they started developing these scales on their skin. And the U.S. government refused to release the material safety data sheets, and those lawsuits are still pending to this day.
Michael, I want to ask you before we continue on with number 8 here.
Yeah.
Late last year, there was video footage out of the Air Force Base in Tonopah, Nevada, of the F-117s flying again. They have been technically retired since 2008, yet 10 years later, there were a couple of fighters that were videoed. Mm-hmm. Why do you think that is, if this aircraft was such a problem?
Well, I don't think it was too much of a problem, although the maintenance per flight hour was really high.
Yes.
But I don't think there's anything sinister or mysterious connected to it, because I think they've already went on to the 3rd and 4th generation stealth aircraft. F-117, it's a done deal. It's already done. They've got the smooth contouring in the B-2 that's been incorporated to other stealth aircraft that we have no knowledge of. So they're far beyond the stealth aircraft now. They're far beyond the F-117A. I don't think it's going to be used in any kind of a thing.
Yeah, that's the reason why, because I do recall, and I could be wrong here, but I do recall somebody telling me a long time ago, way before I started this show, that you know, the pilots of the F-117 needed hours, so they would fly F-15s, F-16s in order to get their daytime hours in on the aircraft. And there was even a rumor that I had heard, and I don't know how true it is, that some of these aircraft that they were flying, the cockpits of these F-15 or F-16s were readjusted to be almost identical to what was inside the F-117 cockpit. If that is true, could we be seeing that with the F-117 airframes for whatever these newer craft are?
Well, the best way to describe that and to answer that would be to just touch upon what Ben Rich stated to Jim Goodall just before he passed away in 1995. So here's Ben Rich dying, and about 11 days before he passed away in 95, Jim Goodall got a telephone call into Ben Rich at the hospital, and Ben Rich told Jim Goodall over the phone, quote, "Jim, we have things in the Nevada desert that are 50 years beyond what you can comprehend. If you've seen it on Star Wars or Star Trek, we've been there, done that, or decided it wasn't worth the effort." So we know that during Desert Storm, the F-117s attacked Baghdad at night. They certainly didn't do it in the daytime. But now, and this is consistent with what Ben Rich had talked about, now we have the capability of daytime stealth. Using electrochromic panels and smart skins, we can do the same mission in daytime. You'd never even know we were there. We could park these things over the Kremlin, over Moscow. They would never know we were there. Even Reagan knew this during the summit time period. And basically, that's the level of technology there is no way they could take down what we had, and it was one reason that the Cold War ended and the Berlin Wall fell, due to these craft that we're talking about right here.
Incredible. All right, let's get to number 9 here.
Okay, let's go to the next one here. Now, this took place Great Lakes Naval Station, 1973. This is north of Chicago, near the Waukegan area. Reference for this is researcher Don Jernigan, who knew the guard station there in 1973. And what he states here is that he was guarding this remote Quonset-style hut or building that's on the northeast corridor of the base. So I did a little bit of checking on this, and I went on Google Maps, and you can go to 3D imagery and satellite imagery, and when you click on the 3D images on the intersection of Paul Jones Street and Porter Avenue, there is a Quonset-style building there, just like this guy talked about, which I thought was very interesting. Now, this person, he had to deliver a special message to the commander of operations, and he was granted kind of this one-time only access to the building. So on the inside, he was met by these real burly-looking, they call them CBs. And so he was led down this corridor, and then it turned left to another long corridor that terminated in this large warehouse facility that was completely crawling with these military police with these guns that were held at gunpoint. This is like a very secure area here. Now, inside this warehouse, he saw this strange-looking tear-shaped craft that was 35 feet in length. It had kind of a flat bottom, kind of a teardrop shape. There was a lip that went around the outer circumference of the craft, and it was being propped up on planks. So this is now 3 cases that we've heard of these vehicles being propped up. It was about 10 feet thick, and it had this silver-white glow on its exterior surface. It had no landing gear and featured this small flange that we talked about. So this is Glenview Naval Station, 1973, another one of these perhaps crash retrievals or something that was recovered by the Navy, it's possible. So again, we're hearing these reports that the Navy is actually in charge of this whole operation.
You'd never expect the Navy to be in charge of some sort of air operation, but they are so prevalent in the dark side of things. It's just amazing.
They are. So is it possible that all these years ufology has been looking in the wrong location? We should be looking at the Navy for the answer, not from the Air Force. So why the Navy? Well, if the UFO cases are true, if the USO cases are true, they predate something that the U.S. Army Air Corps would know about, because the Navy's been out there for long before the Air Force was ever formed in 1947. So it stands to reason that the Navy would have a heads up on this prior to the Air Force. It makes sense. Makes sense.
It totally makes sense. We got time. We got about 4.5 minutes here. I think we got time for number 10.
Sure, no problem. Let's hit this next one here. This is called the UFO Warehouse. Source for this is Charles Wilhelm. He was the source who spoke to Leonard Stringfield. Now, Mr. Wilhelm spoke to someone we will call Mrs. G, and she was dying of cancer, employed at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, which was known as Wright Field before it was renamed Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. So very early on, she was working there. She worked in the Foreign Materials Division. She held a top-secret security clearance, and her job here was to catalog any foreign materials that came into the base. And she told Wilhelm in 1955 that she cataloged, quote, the contents taken from the interior of a crashed UFO. So there were over 1,000 components, and every one of these, Dave, was photographed and tagged, in her own words. She also saw a cart that was wheeled past her that had 2 bodies on it. They were about 4 to 5 feet in length, packed in dry ice or some type of chemical. They were human-looking. They had disproportionately large heads and slanted eyes. And basically, just before she passed away, around 6 months, basically she said, quote, Uncle Sam can't do anything to me once I'm in the grave. So she felt it was okay to release the information.
It's too bad it didn't come out for her to do a touring circuit or get on the media circuit.
Yeah. Yep, I know. So we have to give it to this lady who at least felt it was important to get her testimony out there. But again, we're here this again. All roads lead back to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, just again and again. Within these 119 cases that I've compiled here, case after case has some kind of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base connection. They have got something there. And different facilities that are left to burn. I believe kind of those stories, whether it's there, right, Patterson Air Force Base, they've got to be holding secrets within these facilities that even the base commander doesn't have a need to know. We've heard that as well, where even these base commanders, they're not cleared to every facility on the base. So that's consistent, absolutely.
Why would the base commander not know what is happening on his base if he's the one responsible for it?
Good question. The same reason why Donald Trump is not clued in as well, because he is nothing more than a temporary fixture. Presidents come and go, but these programs, they live on. And some of these programs, they're born black, they die black, and you'll never hear anything about it.
Is there a lot more going on than what we suspect in regards to potentially reverse engineering these type of craft, or seeing what they're doing? Like, are there multiple locations? We always hear about what goes on at Wright Pat or Area 51, but we tend to forget about Area 52 at Dugway or Dulce in New Mexico. Sure.
Well, if any of these cases are true, now I don't think all these people are lying. We've had so many people come forward. I don't think they're all lying. I mean, we've got to think that some of these people are legit. They're telling the truth. They have no reason to lie. Like this lady right here. I mean, she felt, hey, I'm going to get this story out. They can't touch me now, so she went with it. Is she lying? We've got a case from a reference librarian who saw a large 800-foot-long craft hovering over her location, had a 75-degree swept wing configuration. She saw this, at close range. Is she lying? These people, they can't all be lying. So if this is true, then it absolutely is the biggest story of the century.
Does this mean, in your opinion, that with what is going on, as we got about 35 seconds here, that we are getting any closer to disclosure? Or is it too black right now to even think about disclosure because of the secrets we hold?
Well, I don't know if we're near disclosure, but if they were going to try to roll this out, you could see the implications of what this means. Is if they have figured out the propulsion systems of these vehicles, they know point blank that it would doom the utilities, right? We wouldn't need nuclear power plants anymore. We wouldn't need coal fire plants anymore. We wouldn't need internal combustion engines. We could revolutionize the entire world with this technology. So that's one reason they won't roll it out. Plus, we've got all the lawsuits that would be filed as a result of this. All the security clearances that are associated too. So you can see it's not in their best interest to come forward with this.
Right.
And this is exactly why Gordon Cooper stated that the only way it would break is through the scientific community.
I'm going to cut you off right there. Michael Schratt is our guest. Crash Retrievals coming on up on Spaced Out Radio.
Come hang out with Spaced Out Radio, where we own the night. This is Carl. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and during the show, use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio to chat with us live. On Instagram, at Dave Scott SOR. On Facebook, give our page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. SOR archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. Come join us, or I will come join you. See you at your window.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social media freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social media freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Hi, George and Ori here. Are you ready for UFO MegaCon, the immersion event? 7 days, 8 nights, 50 new speakers, UFO military witnesses, experiencer groups, skywatches, and so much more. Join me at UFO MegaCon, March 24th through the 30th in Laughlin, Nevada. Truly the one and only new information conference of the year. Now check it out at UFOMegaCon.com. That's UFOMegaCon.com.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Pleasure for all of you to be with us tonight. Tomorrow night on the show, Geraldine Orozco is back with The Spiritual You. We get going at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. Hello to each and every one of you listening in on all of our affiliates, including our brand new one, KZFX, 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California. Good to have you part of the Spaced Out Radio family now. Revolution Radio, Deep Talk Radio Network, we're all around the internet. And don't forget, you can also check out our archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Arniak. I know I butchered that, but Arniak is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Go rocking out to Bumblefoot. Go shopping right now at our Spaced Out Radio store because you need one of our t-shirts or hats. And, of course, Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire is right there for the reading and so much more. For the final time tonight, we bring in military aviation historian Michael Schratt, one of my personal favorite guests that we always have on this show. He comes on a couple of times a year to break things down for us. And in this next half hour, we're going to get into UFO crashes. We're going to try and get all 10 in that Michael has listed for us. I'm hoping we can do it, Mike.
Oh, we can do it. No problem. No problem. So this next case, David, this involves alien bodies seen at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base being unloaded from a DC-7. Now, this particular individual was a warrant officer who spoke to Leonard Stringfield. He was at the right place at the right time. And this was in 1955 when this DC-7 arrived at night at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And he saw the removal of 4 crates. These crates were either open or had kind of a transparent top. He wasn't quite sure. And he was about 15 feet from the forklift, which was offloading these crates. And they contained 2 bodies of 2 male alien creatures and 1 female. I don't know how he told the difference. I'm not completely sure, but this is what this particular warrant officer stated. The beings measured approximately 4 feet in length and had oversized long faces, according to the witness here. They had a darkish green appearance, and this could have been due to the lighting. He wasn't sure. It could have been the lighting or something else, so that might be the reason for the green appearance. They also removed several other crates from the aircraft, which contained debris from the UFO. He later spoke to one of these crew members from the DC-7, and he was told that 2 of the creatures were dead when they were taken, but 1 was still alive and talking in some kind of a garbled language. The crewman also stated that the other crates containing the debris from the crash retrieval were scheduled to be delivered to Redstone Arsenal in Alabama. So this is the DC-7 case, 1955. So this gentleman was just like at the right place at the right time when he saw these being offloaded. Just thought it was another interesting case that just leads back to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
Michael, I want to ask you before we continue on, in regards to these alleged cases where bodies are found, but there are live species available, have you been tipped off to what we actually do with them?
I have not been tipped off, no. Be great if I was, but no, I haven't been tipped off. I don't know.
If anybody out there is listening, get a hold of Michael. We need to find out.
Yeah, I mean, let's make this come alive. Let's get these cases out there. Can the public handle it? According to the Marine, yes, we can. So I think we've been green lighted. I think we should move forward. They don't have to release everything. They could give us something, and let's get the discussion going here. But so those are the crash retrieval cases that I wanted to consider tonight. I thought let's move over and consider at least one of the Hynek cases from UFOs.
Sure.
UFOs is the Center for UFO Studies. They were originally located at 2457 West Peterson Avenue in the Chicagoland area. Those files have now been sent to University of Chicago. And about 10 years ago, I spent 3 years going through approximately 50,000 cases, pulling only the cases that had a very detailed sketch and text to go along with it. I wasn't interested in lights in the sky sightings. I wanted something that had some meat on the bones. So let me hit you with one of these here. This was sent to QFOS January 17th, 2005, so long after J.L. Hynek passed away in 1986. So this letter is way overdue here. But this is what, due to the sighting date here, what this gentleman described seeing, and this is March 5th, 2003, Helena, Missouri. Sighting took place at 9:50 p.m., lasted about 10 minutes. What he described is a massive triangular-shaped craft that was 1 football field in length. And let me just read you what he has in a notation here. Quote, craft caused pictures to fall off living room wall and shook entire house as it passed by. So a massive craft that had this cross beam and girder construction like a truss bridge. And then he said that the whole thing was fastened by what he called rusty bridge rivets. Something that you would see on the Golden Gate Bridge, these rusty rivets, that's how this thing was fastened together. It had a catwalk running along the center of the craft, and it had this large fluorescent bulb that was flashing on every 15 seconds. And remember, this thing is a football field in length per side, large triangular-shaped craft. It was about 20 feet high, and he thought that this thing must have weighed just an incredible amount. Now, not knowing how he would have known that, but at least that's what he said in the letter here. So, again, this is Helena, Missouri, March 5th, 2003, massive triangular-shaped craft.
Wow. That's
just like
big
one
craft.
example that was sent to the Hynek QFOS files here. Now, since we're on the subject of triangles, there's another case that I thought was very important. Now, this isn't technically part of the QFOS collection, but this was given to me by David Marler, who is the premier triangular researcher. He wrote the book Triangular UFO, so credit has to go to him for this particular case. Now, this was Barnsley, England, August 25th, 1990, where the primary eyewitness and his wife, they had just come out of a Fleetwood Mac concert. They're driving home. Off to the left-hand side, emerging from this dark, misty cloud, comes this 200 feet per side black triangle. There's a light on each of the corners. There's a light in the center, and there's an indented section on the mid-portion of the craft, and on the side of the indented section is what's he described as this cross beam and girder construction, just like this other gentleman described in the 2003 Helena, Missouri case. He also said that there were human-looking figures that were looking back at him, and he felt that these looked like kind of humanoid pilots, and nothing about what these things looked like led him to believe that it was anything other than a military project, in his words. Now, this is a retired police officer that had 30 years of experience in the field. this would qualify as a reliable witness. And here he's stating that, hey, this is a military craft, So, again, this is consistent with what Ben Rich had talked about, being 50 years beyond what you can comprehend. He also made another statement in 1993, quote, anything you can imagine the Skunk Works can do or has already done, end quote. So this is entirely consistent with something that the Skunk Works could produce.
In regards to that type of program that Skunk Works could produce, why would they put it in an area where people could see it, like this incident you just read, where this guy is seeing people inside the craft? Why would they do that in a populous area?
A lot of these cases, a lot of these craft are seen. They're purposely seen because they have these multicolored flashing lights on the bottom. And in some cases, the CIA, the NSA, the NRO, they want people to think that these are extraterrestrial craft to hide their own deep black programs. That's one of the games that they're playing. And whenever there's a sighting, the very next day at the supermarket tabloid area, we have these reports of alien craft sighted last night, when in point of fact it was one of our deep black aircraft. So it's a cover for their own programs. That's why they'll fly these things over populated areas in some cases.
Do you think something like the Phoenix Lights then was homemade, or do you think that was extraterrestrial because of the size?
I don't think it was an extraterrestrial vehicle, and the reason is because March 13th, 1997 was a Thursday. The Taconic State Parkway, March 23rd, 1983 sighting was a Thursday. The original quote-unquote Aurora sightings in the early to mid-1990s were done on Thursday nights. And the reason why is because Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is reserved for pre-flight. Thursday is the test flight. Friday is post-flight inspection. Saturday, Sunday, there's no one there. So that's why you hear about these strange craft being flown on Thursday night. So it was actually March 24th, 1983, Taconic State Parkway. And so when you hear about Phoenix Lights that happened on a Thursday night, and the fact that there were pipes and cylinders on the bottom of that vehicle as well, you could be potentially looking at a man-made craft, according to what the eyewitnesses reported.
In regards to the size of the craft, being football fields in size, where do you park that? Because, I mean, you have to put it in a facility somewhere that your spying nations aren't going to be able to find. You're not just going to keep that hidden on a runway that's surrounded by mountains.
Well, some of these craft are holographic image projections. That's one thing. One other quick point I wanted to bring out here, I've got another case here, Madison, Wisconsin, November 22nd, 1985. I don't know why this date keeps popping up. November 22nd. Here we've got this sighting here. November 22nd, 1988 is when the B-2 was rolled out to the public at Air Force Plane 42 Palmdale. November 22nd, 1963, Kennedy gets assassinated. So there's something going on with this date. I'm not sure. Okay, so this is an interesting case here. This is also within the David Marler reports here. And very briefly, what this gentleman saw, Madison, Wisconsin, and was approximately 40 feet across and 90 feet in length. And this is what the eyewitness reported. Quote, the underside of the craft resembled the back of a refrigerator, like a collection of condensation pipes that ran back and forth, end quote. After gliding over the witness's vehicle, the craft departed at a tremendous speed and left no sonic boom. So here's at least 4 cases now of these tubes, pipes, and cylinders being seen on the bottom of these vehicles. David, I don't think we're dealing with an extraterrestrial vehicle here.
I'm going to throw something out there that's way far-fetched. Could they be parking them on the moon?
Well, it's possible. If we take Ben Rich's comments at face value, it's possible. You know, anything you can imagine we can do or have already done, yeah, it's definitely possible. And when you look at the understructure of these vehicles, the Hudson Valley Boomerang had the same type understructure. The Belgium Triangle had the same type understructure. The January 5th Southern Illinois Triangle had almost identical understructure to it. You put this all together, and then you figure out that a lot of these things are being seen on Thursday nights. Yeah, we're definitely looking at a man-made technology here that is light years ahead of what you'd see at your local air show. So you can bet your bottom dollar that if you see, a B-2, F-15, F-16 at your local air show, it's already decades old at this stage. It's obsolete Model A technology. They are so far in advance that we're the ones living in the Matrix. They've got these incredible technologies that bypass any congressional oversight, no public scrutiny. And as we mentioned before, in '94, they're blowing $100 million per day on these black programs.
That's in literally a infinite budget.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because when you have a black program, there's no oversight. So if you screw up, nobody knows. You can sweep it under the carpet because it's a black program. And these defense contractors, they feel entitled to charge the Department of Defense, the Pentagon, 5, 6, 7 times as much as something actually costs. We've got so many reports. I've got a report from Washington Post where a contractor was paid $1 million to ship 2 39-cent washers across the country. Guess who paid for it? American taxpayers. They blew $1 million to ship 2 washers, and it goes on and on and on from there.
How do you even get away with that? $1 million for 2 washers.
Oh yeah. I've got all sorts of these bloody stories. It's another little hobby of mine. Collecting these stories of fraud, waste, and abuse in government spending. Just incredible. There's a case in 1983 where the government paid about $13,000 for a tiny little block on the F-16 called a pulley puller. And this thing is about 2 inches long. It's about 1 inch wide, and then about just under 3/16 of an inch thick that has 3 tapped holes. We're talking about a tiny little block that has 3 tapped holes. Taxpayers blew $13,000 per block, and there could have been hundreds of these made. The Government Accounting Office did an audit of these blocks, and they found out they were all defective. They scrapped all of them. We just blew all that money for nothing.
Wow.
Yeah.
If the taxpayer only paid attention.
Oh, yeah. I mean, think about what we could do. I'm not trying to do a rosy-colored glasses scenario here, but with the amount we spent on the B-2 stealth bomber, that's $2.3 billion per aircraft, more than its own weight in gold. If we just don't build one B-2, too late now. It's already a done deal. They've already been made. But if we just didn't build one B-2, number one, we could absolutely take every homeless person off the street, no doubt about it. We could go a long way to repairing our infrastructure. We could go a long way at improving our schools, our education system, and just by not building one B-2 bomber, we could solve all of it. But they don't do it. The defense contractors will stop at nothing to keep these things rolling, and they will create and enhance a false threat to justify billions in defense contracts. Doesn't matter. They'll make one up if they have to. That's how ruthless these guys are.
And to hide it behind the UFO phenomenon. That's the best way to put it. That's the best way to put it, because nobody's ever going to question it. That's true.
If it's something ET, then, how do you pin it down? But it's not. It's not. And I mean, we've got reports of electrical humming noises, like a transformer, like a sewing machine being tested on a Thursday night, and then these multicolored flashing lights that flash in sequence. Like the reds would go off, the blues would go off, the yellows would go off, the greens would go off, all up and down the wing of these craft during the Hudson Valley Boomerang wave on purpose. So you put this all together, it's clear we're looking at a man-made technology here.
Do you believe then that other countries are involved in these type of projects? For instance, we see as much as there is tension between the United States and Russia, they still work together on the ISS, like they're best friends in the space program. Do you see that happening with these black projects such as hypersonic craft?
Well, the UK has their own triangles, no doubt about it. And after the Kennedy assassination, this is reported in Jane's Defense Weekly, after the Kennedy assassination, something called the Dawson Report, which was a number of three-ring binders that were put together, and this was intel that was picked up by the British government when they were sweeping up all the information that the Nazis were doing on low observable stealth technology. All that information was put into three-ring binders and given to the United States government. And really, from that point forward, there has been a long-going and outstanding relationship between the UK government and the United States government on stealth technology. And there's no telling what was found within that Dawson Report. It's never been revealed. But it had to do with low observable stealth technology, and that's why the UK, they have their own black triangles as well. But I don't think it's as good as what we have, because that's what we do here in America. We're just like so totally into it, and we'll blow billions of stuff on these programs. But there absolutely is a relationship between the UK government and the US on stealth technology. It's undeniable.
So do you think then that all of these black triangles, some people nickname them the TR3B, are of human descent and not of any sort of extraterrestrial contact?
Just looking by the eyewitness reports, 95% of what people are reporting as extraterrestrial triangles are our own deep black programs. And that is borne out by the eyewitness reports of the Belgium Triangle 1989-1990, where they also reported these tubes, pipes, and cylinders on the bottom of the craft. That's for one. Number two, they were virtually silent or made this a low-frequency electrical humming noise. And then we've got the reports here from the Belgian Air Force that this thing accelerated from 280 kilometers per hour to 1,800 kilometers per hour in less than a second, equivalent to 40 Gs. So on the surface, you think, wow, there's just no way humans could survive that. Well, no one ever said it was a manned craft. We could be looking at unmanned drones, part of something that I guess we're not supposed to talk about, but it was part of the Dragon program, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
Well, Michael, we are down to about a minute left with you, and I got to tell you, a lot of the comments in the chat rooms tonight, people are begging for when you are going to come back. We can work on that at a later date, my friend.
Sure.
But
sure.
do me a favor, if you could tell everybody where they could find your research, and your contact information in case they have any information to deliver to you.
Okay, no problem. Number one, hit me up on Facebook. Number two, hit me up with an email, and I'll send you the crossword puzzles, and hopefully you've been able to link them as well. Email address is AURORACAD as in dog, the number 5 at AOL.com. So it's AuroraCat5 at AOL.com. So that's the email address where you can reach me. Any questions, any comments, you need a PDF file of the crossword puzzles, no problem, got it covered. And the other thing is, I have one booklet that I wrote, Retrievals of the Third Kind, Cosmic Crashes, Corpses, and Cover-Ups. It's available on the MUFON store as a PDF download. It's an ebook. It has 119 crash retrieval cases coming directly from the Stringfield files. They're all basically illustrated. There's a synopsis to go to each one.
Wonderful.
And then I go into detail. Yep, and it's through the MUFON store.
Michael Schratt, everybody. Coming up next, SOR Newswire with Olaf Phillips. You are...
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is spaced out radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, this is your foot Thaw, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for little brother. Deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, BUMBLEFOOT.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know little brother is watching.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject, from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Hi, George Norrie here. Are you ready for UFO MegaCon, the immersion event? 7 days, 8 nights, 50 new speakers, UFO military witnesses, experiencer groups, skywatches, and so much more. Join me at UFO MegaCon, March 24th through the 30th in Laughlin, Nevada. Truly the one and only new information conference of the year. Now check it out at UFOMegaCon.com. That's UFOMegaCon.com.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
We've rounded third. We are heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, broadcasting to you from the captain's chair of SOR headquarters on this Monday night, early Tuesday morning. If you're on the East Coast, thank you so much for being with us. And at this time of the night, we get to the weird, the strange, the WTF of the strange news on the SOR Newswire. The news is always changing. The reason why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get into the news that may not make the mainstream, but is weird, strange, and a little odd nonetheless. And presenting it, we bring you Olaf Phillips from Paranoia Magazine. Olaf, how you doing, buddy?
Greetings and salutations, Dave.
Did you have a good weekend?
I did. I went to a World War II radar site.
That is cool. That is very cool. And what led you down that path?
It was in the middle of nowhere. I've been working on the Paranoid Traveler, and, you know, I go, as a hobbyist, I go visit these formerly classified secret bases, and then I've been filming it and starting to edit it together. I have one episode up on YouTube, but, you know, it's kind of fun. So I go anyway, so I get a bit of wanderlust and materialize at these weird places, but I've decided to start filming them.
You know what? I had a little bit of a fun episode last week that I should actually share with the audience. So every night I go to bed, I try and pick another either radio show or somebody speaking at a conference, whatever they're talking about, just to try and figure out, you know, information. So like leading up to the Michael Schratt show, I'd listen to Michael Schratt speak before I head off to bed. So last week I decided I wanted to listen to something on time travel, Olaf. And I pull up this video on YouTube, and it's got like almost like the Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure phone booth with lightning bolts and everything. Awesome. Really cool screen. I'm like, yeah, this show looks pretty cool. Don't know what it is, but I'm going to listen to it. It's about John Teeter, and I haven't heard a good John Teeter story in a while. And I hit play. Right. And I'm like, what am I missing here? Why does this sound familiar? I think I know that voice. And then I hear the guest speak. And this is like 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning, and I'm half asleep while I'm doing this. And I realize that somebody pirated my own podcast that I was listening to. So here I am listening. I don't know if I could find it again. I got to go back on YouTube and go back to my history of searches. But here I am listening to myself, and I'm like, this is not cool. This is not cool.
You're like, damn, this is good. You're like, damn, this show is great. Wait a minute.
Yeah, here I am wanting to listen to something else, and here I got me. But, it's kind of cool because I know a lot of people freak out because of content and everything along those lines, and I don't promote stealing other people's work, especially if you're trying to profit off of it. But on the flip side, here we are with this scenario, and I'm listening to this, I'm like, well, that's a little bit of free advertising. So I'm caught in this little conundrum here as we grow. What to do? But nonetheless, we got to get you into the news, my friend. What do you got for us?
I have an incident like that too. So one day I'm searching for, I think it was Nazi UFOs or something, right? And I come across this article, and I'm like, oh, it's on the Weekly World News. The Weekly World News. What kind of garbage stuff are they coming up with? And I'm like, oh, this article's pretty good. Well, this is interesting. Wait a minute. I wrote that. They listed the entire article. The whole thing, like verbatim. I mean, all they did was change it from by my name to by Weekly World News staff.
Oh, wow.
Wow. I couldn't be angry. I was just like, you know what? That's awesome. I'm going to leave it.
Yeah. Well, all right. Nonetheless, you got some news for us tonight, my friend.
It's rare that you can shock me. And I don't generally get shocked by weird news because it's my deal, right? But this one has me scratching my head.
Okay.
Universal Orlando now has a butt-naked troll that farts glitter at guests.
What?
Yes, you heard that right. Universal Studios Orlando has a new character in one of its theme parks with a very particular set of skills. Guy Diamond, a troll from the Trolls animated movie, has a well-defined bare bottom that not only farts at guests, but fires off glitter when it does. Guy Diamond recently joined Trolls Branch and Poppy, who have been doing meet and greets at the theme park for some time now. Attractions Magazine reported. Branch and Poppy, for the record, are fully clothed. Inside the Magic said the troll trio does a dance for guests. Then, after cutting loose, Guy Diamond releases a sparkly shark just as he does in the film.
Oh,
so
goodness.
Universal Orlando now has a troll thing that walks around and it farts on you, but it farts glitter.
Wow. You know what? I think I'm more upset right now on that it farts glitter, my friend, because glitter gets into everything. And you notice the last few years, there's actually a company out there that if you don't like someone, you can actually send glitter bombs to people or glitter mail to people. So when they open up the envelope, they'll see this beautiful card. They'll open it up and, all this glitter will splatter all over the place. And you never get it out. 14 years from now, you're still going to be picking glitter out of your carpet. You will still find it, and you're going to be like, damn you, damn you.
Well, and then there was that guy, the NASA engineer, who rigged the glitter bomb, like if you try to steal his Amazon box, it had a GPS and a glitter bomb in it. Yeah.
I actually have a media radio request out to him to see if he'll come on. I haven't heard back yet, but I'd like to get him on here just for that. I really would.
Oh, it's awesome.
Let's move on to the next story.
World War I grenade. Oh, we had the guy. Remember the guy who fished out the grenade and World War II grenade, and he put it in his trunk and drove to Taco Bell?
Yes.
World War I grenade discovered among potatoes at Hong Kong potato chip factory. Hong Kong police destroyed a German-made grenade from World War I on Saturday morning after the device cropped up in a shipment of imported potatoes at a local potato chip factory. The grenade, described by authorities as having been caked with mud and dirt, was discovered by workers in a factory run by Japanese snack maker Calbee, China Morning Post reported. Police said they used a high-pressure water firing technique to safely detonate the weapon. So we had the World War II hand grenade that got over to Taco Bell. Now we have a World War I hand grenade that was in a potato chip factory. I can't make this stuff up, man. I cannot make this stuff up.
You know, the danger of that, and you got to realize, as we move more into digging up land for farmland or for residential or commercial use, there's going to be a lot more of this coming out, man. There is going to be a lot more. And it's just amazing, or a matter of time before somebody gets killed by one of these.
Yeah. I mean, well, you know, landmines are a problem that you know, you go into like places in Southeast Asia, we laid landmines everywhere and forgot where we put them. So, definitely a problem.
Yeah, there are still a lot of reports out of places like Vietnam where children or people are getting either killed or maimed by landmines from the war 50 years ago. I mean, it's still out there. It's still happening. So I wouldn't want to be there. I really wouldn't. What else do you have for us tonight, Olaf?
Well, now this one, I caught this one, and I thought, this is a Dave story. This is a story that you can really feel.
Sounds
beer
good.
Spill causes chaos on Thailand street. Hundreds of local residents descended on a street in Thailand when an overturned truck spilled 80,000 cans of beer into the road.
Hallelujah.
Drivers, Sampor Primjaras, 58, said he was less than a mile from his warehouse destination in Phuket when he lost control of the truck while turning the corner and the vehicle overturned. I went around the corner and could not keep control of the truck. I don't know how it happened. I think the road was slippery or because it was dark, the driver said. The crash caused the truck's load of Leo beer to spill onto the road, leading to chaos as hundreds of people rushed to take the cans from the roadway. Police said that people who took the cans could face theft charges if they are identified by investigators. And I'm willing to bet that they're going to put all the resources that they have into finding those people.
My goodness. You know, I always wonder, when I do that, if I saw a beer truck or a taco truck, because I love my tacos, or heaven forbid a Pepsi truck spill on over, would I go for it?
Truck, yeah.
I don't know if I would. You know, there's a little part. There's a little part of me that says, you know, why not? But it's not free. You're stealing. It doesn't matter if the company is going to write off that liquid or not. You're still stealing, and I don't know how comfortable I feel with that. Or it's the same like if a Brinks truck, and we've heard that happen. It seems to happen once or twice every year or two, where a Brinks truck will get into an accident, flip over, and money will come pouring out. You know, you look at that kind of stuff.
There.
Yeah.
The difference with a Brinks truck, though, is that the money in an armored car, they actually have the serial numbers, and they will find you. If you have a can of beer, probably not. But if an armored car rolls over and there's money everywhere, they will find you.
You never see anybody. You never see anybody like racing to the scene if a truck full of like ramen noodles falls or crashes and tips over.
I had ramen tonight. I might go. I might do that for ramen noodles.
I had them last night, and I remembered very quickly why I do not like them.
Oh, I love them.
Oh yeah.
Ramen in Japan is like going to a ramen place in Japan. It's like the best.
We got time for one more, my friend.
This one, I had to do it. It was you know how news articles are tagged?
Yes.
The tags are news, burnout, donuts, Florida man, Mustang. I was like, dude, I'm in.
This sounds perfect, because this is packing some sort of handlebar mustache.
No, he doesn't have a handlebar mustache, actually. He's quite young.
Oh.
Florida man races Ford Mustang around active runway, does donuts in hangar. Have you ever broke into an airport in Grand Theft Auto and done donuts on an active runway? It's not really advised to do that in real life, but that didn't stop a Florida man from trying to in Pensacola International Airport. According to Fox News, Florida police arrested Zane Alexander Carlson on January 30th after he broke through a fence with his Ford Mustang, then drove down the airstrip at approximately 100 miles an hour. After that, he did donuts in the grass near the runway before driving into a hangar and proceeding to do donuts there until police arrived. Police don't believe alcohol was involved, which makes us wonder even more what's in the water down there. Police think he just felt like driving down a runway. According to Mike Wood, the Pensacola Police Department, they have also ruled out terrorism as a motive. I'm glad they did that. He is, however, very much in jail. And that's the Florida story for tonight.
Well, we appreciate a good Florida story, because the what were they thinking attitude kind of kicks on in with that one. I can tell you that.
He
kicks on in.
He just felt like driving down the runway.
Yes.
According to police.
How would he even get his vehicle in there? I mean, there's a bunch of security checks and everything.
Gate. No, he ran the fence. He drove through the fence in his Ford Mustang. In his Ford Mustang, he literally ran the fence.
Well, it must have been a dream come true for him. Maybe that was a bucket list thing to do. Maybe that's what it was. Let's get to the thought of the day, shall we?
Let's go.
Thought of the Day happens every night at this time, where we post a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air, because we love the audience participation around here. So today's Thought of the Day is as follows. How do you tell the difference between a UFO and maybe a secret military aircraft? We got lots of responses on this one today. Let's start off with John. John says, if the craft is observed in the general vicinity of a military installation, I might suspect it is something military, but who knows? Joe, your butt doesn't hurt after you see a secret military aircraft.
Okie dokie.
That's a good one. See Whitley Strieber here. Tom, when you see an airplane do a 90-degree turn in the sky while at high speed, you know it's not the government. Gary, you can't. Nice and simple there. Let's get to Gabe. Gabe says, I've seen so many things over the years I couldn't tell the difference if it was military or alien. And Olaf, I think a lot of us are like that.
Yeah, I think that's probably true for the most part. I mean, I think,
for sure.
you know me, I'm a 90-10 kind of guy, but no, it's true.
When in doubt, aliens, people. When in doubt, aliens.
It's aliens.
Catherine, how can you tell the difference between the two? Easy. Human aircraft have external lights, even the most top secret ones. If it has lights, it's Earth-based. That is the simplest rule of thumb given to me to always follow. Why? UFOs come from other areas. Why would they need our light codes?
Yeah, I've seen plenty of top secret aircraft that have, black budget aircraft that don't have running lights turned on. They turn them on. I don't know about that one.
Let's continue on here. Stunak says, you can't, because we have the technology already. Unfortunately, it's in the wrong hands. Renee, well, you can't if they mock a street light or Renee, bad Renee. Security light.
It's a camouflage landing pole. Camouflage landing pole.
She goes on to say, however, seriously, military cannot dart in, out, up, and down so quickly. They also just don't dart in and stop dead in midair. Ben Moss, actually, formerly from MUFON, he states, having seen very good evidence on film of anomalous craft, the difference is that nothing human will change the environment around it, produce plasma to the point it appears the shape change, distortion of the background, effects on clouds and atmospheres. These are a few signs it's not ours. Brian,
maybe.
You're not buying that one? Let's get to Brian here.
No.
Simple.
I don't.
Actual UFOs controller by an alien race will be blurry, whereas secret military aircraft will be clear. Not sure I'm buying that one. Teresa.
Yeah, he could blur it.
Let's see. Let's move on here. Russ. The aircraft says, shh, it's a secret. A UFO would never do that. David, the only secret military air technology that might be able to duplicate the behavior of UFOs would be the technology that has been reverse engineered from recovered ET tech by the breakaway civilization. Otherwise, you could pretty much tell anything that behaves like technology from science fiction is a genuine UFO. Keith, roll it on its back and check underneath.
Okay.
This isn't an animal, Reverend Keith. Olaf, where can everybody find Paranoia Magazine?
You can find us at Paranoia Magazine on Facebook, The Paranoid Traveler on YouTube, and on SoundCloud, The Paranoia Podcast, because it's totally radical.
Appreciate you, Olaf. And, of course, you can find all of your news by going to spacedoutradio.com, clicking on the news tab. Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire is right there, uploaded and ready to go daily. Captain Shirk does an amazing job as our news director, so we thank her for that. We also want to say a big thank you to Michael Schratt for coming on in tonight talking about UFOs. We're going to bring him on in a couple of months once again to talk, because he is just so much fun to have on the air. Tomorrow night on the show from Bay Area Meditation in San Francisco, California, Geraldine Orozco joins us for the Spiritual You. We get going at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to all of you listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be, including our brand new affiliate, KZFX, 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being a part of the show, making us bigger and better every single night. Because together, my friends, we own the night. I will talk to you in 21 hours from now. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Good night.